everyone. Welcome to another episode of the QubicaAMF Tech Tip Podcast. This is the weekly podcast where we take you on a journey through the fascinating world of bowling technology and beyond. As always, I am your host, Orly, and we have the ever so great Charles. Charles, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And it's Charles Craig, but I'm just saying Charles because Charles is a regular on the show. I'm sure if you haven't listened, I'm going to let Charles do his thing and say what he does within the company and, what his title is with QubicaAMF.
Hey, I am Charles Craig. I am a QubicaAMF Max trainer. I am the person that will show up on site after you make a purchase and get a new product installed. Or I'm also the person that will have a remote training with you, whether you got one of our self-installed products or you're doing a Square integration. I've been with the company now for about 9 years and have a background in tech support and in training as well.
Yeah, so Charles is the man when you need some help for something. So that's why we have him here today. And, last week on the show, we covered, I had V on the show, and we covering, certain updates within Windows and just, your computers in general. But today we're going to kind of focus on one specific thing. We're going to talk about, Charles is going to talk about keeping your Conqueror updated to the latest version and just, what are some of the advantages of keeping it updated, where you go to update this, and just everything Conqueror updates. So Charles, I'm going to let you take it from here. You could kind of, let them know when they should be updating or what you usually tell people when you're in their centers and how they can do that and just the advantages. So
yeah, of course. So keeping your Conqueror system up to date is going to be the best way to make sure that everything is functioning smoothly. And it also makes sure that you're getting the newest product updates. If there's any new material that we put in the system, making sure that you update it when that update becomes available is kind of how you stay current. The system itself does check for updates regularly. It does that using that internet update service that kind of runs in the background for you. Of course, one of the biggest things to always make sure is that for you to get those updates, your system has to be connected to the internet. During any sort of initial training with the system, we always kind of tell you, especially if you're a Conqueror X customer, that little white globe that is on the upper kind of middle of your Conqueror system screen. Mm-hmm. That globe being white is very important. If it's ever red, that usually means that there's some sort of connection trouble. And with that red globe, you likely aren't going to get those important updates. Clicking on that globe, whether it's white or red, will tell you the current status of your connection. If it's white, it usually will say cloud connection and have a little checkbox next to it that's green. If it's red, the system will try and self-diagnose and tell you what it thinks the problem is with your connection, whether it's something's unreachable or an authentication problem. And if that globe is ever red, of course, check your internet in the building first. And then if you're still having problems, please reach out to our tech support group and let them know what that error says, and they'll help you diagnose. Talking about how the system actually will let you know that an update is available. When you log in for the first time, a little box will pop up if an update's available telling you, hey, this is the new version number. You're on this version. An update's available. What would you like to do? Would you like to update now? Would you like to update at the next version? Meaning, ignore this, let me know when the next version comes out. Would you like to be notified again in coming days? You tell it how soon. Or would you like to try an update at day changing time? And that day changing time is typically a 6 a.m. point when the system moves to its next business day, but also will do your scoring reboots. So I always say it's great to do the update as soon as possible. Some updates, though, do require an upload to your lanes or a reinitialize to your lanes. So just be aware if you're opening in 15 minutes, maybe do the upgrade that evening when you're closing down, just because sometimes those uploads can take upwards of 30 minutes or longer, and you don't want that to interfere with a league hitting the floor or, people coming in for open bowling.
You mentioned sometimes like that box would pop up. is there any way they could check, like, if that's not popping up, or is that always going to pop up, or is there somewhere they could go maybe to see, like, let me see if I need to update, or if somebody in the morning maybe clicked, hey, like, no, I'll do it later, but you as a manager, maybe you're coming in later and it's like, hey, I didn't know they were clicking this off all the time, so I need to check. Yeah, is there a spot they could go?
Yeah, of course. At any point, if you ever want to check if there is a system update available, you can, from the main Conqueror homepage, go to the far right-hand tab top that says Utilities. That'll open the submenu, and go to Internet Update, and then click on Upgrade Center. If anything is available for you, it'll populate again with that box saying, hey, here's your new update that's available. Otherwise, if the system is on its current stable version, what it'll do is it'll say the system is already updated to the latest version, and you just hit OK on that box. Also on that screen, we have a little tile that's called Feature File. Clicking on that will open a web page, and it will tell you what the most recent changes to the system were. Now, updates are available for almost everything in our system, but I always tell people, if you're on Conqueror X, or you're using Square or BestNV or Neoverse, because those are products that are kind of, shiny and new ones. They are the things that are very much alive and are getting those updates more frequently than other, more legacy products. So if you do have one of those newer products in your system, please check for those updates, because it could be a exciting new feature, or it could just be something as simple as, improving speed or stability of the system. So always check for them and always run them as soon as you can. Just be cognizant of if the center is opening soon, or if you already open and could possibly have business in the near future. Maybe hold off until you know that you can do that upload or reinitialize and not interfere with those guests coming in.
All right. And I know it's kind of an ongoing joke when somebody says, oh, I've called tech support, not within this company, but just in general. And they say, first thing they always say is, did you unplug it and plug it back in? Is updating almost a version of that? So when you call tech support, if you're having some little issue, is one of the first things they going to ask is, have you updated Conqueror? Like, so is that something you should do before you call tech support, or not necessarily?
I always say that an update is a good thing, because possibly the problem that you're having might be fixed in that update that's sitting there available for you. So it's always a good place to start. And I mean, it is a good troubleshooting, tactic that you can use yourself to try and fix the problem. But also, when you call in, just because there can be so many different versions of the program live in the world, if you are behind a couple versions, maybe it's a problem that has arisen and someone isn't aware of yet. So being on that current stable version is usually the safest route to go. So I do recommend, if you can, perform those updates. And then if you're still experiencing the problem, that would be the time that we would reach out.
Perfect. Well, Charles, I think this was a very important, easy, and just an important, PSA to keep your Conqueror updated. So I appreciate you coming on, as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Orly.
Yeah, and everyone else out there, thanks for listening to the QubicaAMF Tech Tip Podcast. We're here each week to support centers like yours with expert advice and the latest in bowling innovation. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and be sure to share this podcast with your team, coworkers, or anyone who could benefit. Until next time, we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.